Okay. Um, Third part of what I have called best practice. Third, I hope, last part, but you'll never know. Since part 2, I just added a few things here. Added colors to the instrument separators, the group pads we have here. We have a group base with only one member. And if we scroll up a little, we have a group saw with only one member and planned automation. Two automation belonging to this instrument, the FAD, which is a standard instrument in the triple OC instrument group. Right, I only used standard instrument, but this is not a real project. I just slapped some dummy notes in, so where we can listen to it. So, but it's nothing. Interesting heartbeat, perhaps. Back to that. The notes I've added just to demonstrate here in this container where we have the I called it keys. Now you can see that in this part of the project we are in A minor, and here we are in E minor, and here we are back to A minor again. Also the structure I have split up in percussion and instrumental structure that can also be useful. We now have a kick drum of these 2 bars, then a hi-hat in 1 bar, and back to the kick drum. We have the instrumental structure where we have pads, pads, and pads. That's not extremely interesting, but there are rooms for something else, right? Perhaps the saw could come in here, or there, or something else. But the important thing is we have control in the project. We have the information down, and I'll show you how to use it in a rather nifty way. I also, in the project notes, I have added here that current last is 4. And then I have another comment. You can see they're in 2 different fonts. And what I mean with this is that this in Courier here, that is not implemented yet, or something you have to look at, while this up here in a different font, a little bit larger font, find the fonts here. You can also use different styles. For instance, we could say that we do this in bold, like that, and it stands even more out. This means that the current last 4 means that when I add a new instrument, it should go in the mixer at spot 5 or slot 5, and then of course I have to change this. So every time I add an instrument, I don't have to examine the mixer for where the last one was entered. I can just look in my notes. Of course, you can say it's just as easy as look in the mixer, but the mixer is a little bit more bulky. You could perhaps have added the last one down here in the effect group, and then you have to go up to the was it now, have I, and whatever. You see here we have 4 instruments, and they're all all the instrument name has been added to the mixer, so I'm also in full control here. Okay, close that down. Now, of course, this is not a project, it is just a mock-up, and you have to imagine that this is now a very complex and large project, and perhaps we are in at a bar much higher, and then these structure containers starts to get interesting, because, for instance, if I have to do something here in the fat saw, then I can just find my keys and I can roll it up. And now I work here and I see, okay, I'm going to make an instrument line here for it could be something like, and I know it's an A because I saw it once. So for hand I could do something like this. It's just something in there, and that will also go. Close it down. That small line there will be feeding to this, where the other instruments have their keys in this part. So even though that one I missed that, oh my god, that was a mistake. It should sound better now. Oh Lord. Using this and sliding it up and down, where the next part of this should be implemented. For instance, maybe I want to work with the bass. Then I shove it down here onto the bass group, and I add a note container, for instance, here, and I can see, okay, this is going to be an E minor, so I'm going to find some here down in E, so E. For instance, I'm trying to do something like this. And it's crap, but never mind. Doesn't matter. Perhaps I want to repeat that. There. It's also crap, but don't. Okay, that is how I use this key container, and as I said earlier, I think that the pre-release is very stable, but if you want to be absolutely sure, you should save before you shove containers around or tracks around, because it could hang up, and then you're sorry afterwards. Yes. Okay. Also added a track here that I call mood, and we're gonna use that just the same way, shoving it up to the a place where we're going to extend the composition. You can see, okay, so in this part of the project we have a sadness mood. Perhaps in a different part of the project we will have a fear mood, or a flight mood, or a happy mood, whatever. But just to avoid that, I start putting in a lot of happy notes, C major part, for instance, another major in the key. And it will clash in the mood of the song. So I can have a structure track also with moods. That is just for an example, but it's up to you what you will have in your structure tracks and how many you will make. You don't have to do the same as I have here, of course, but the structured tracks are pretty helpful. Okay, next up is structure, but I just want to make sure that these different helpers really have been inside, and I'm gonna drag a little around here so I can find it. So let's, for instance, say that we want to do some work up in the let's see, should we say the source section, and I want to know how my project up to now has been structured. So first I would save, but hey, hello. I'll remove first the percussion structure and say, okay, what have I done in my percussion structure? It looks like I have kick drum, these first two bars that I have hi-hat and I have kick drum, okay. How does my instrumental structure look? I can push that up. Just a little bit. And what about the mood structure? Push that up. Have a look at that. So here I would now be able to work in my with my fat saw and have these information at all time, and that's really the idea with the structure track, to have an overview of the complete project at all time, so that you can structure your projects. What a surprise. Right, I think that I will break it here because it's very annoying with long YouTube videos, and I think this is over 10 minutes now. Last part will focus on the sketch track and some final comments on it. Yes, I'll break it here. Bye bye.